Are we good? Excellent. Okay, so you've all scanned your QR code. That's gonna come back in just a minute. This is social and emotional learning for every classroom. And if you ever have questions throughout the session about your classroom specifically, please feel free to either write it down and hold it to the end, or wait till kind of a stopping point and I'll address it. Participants will learn and practice procedures for social and emotional learning by completing model activities, reflecting on best practices, and discussing different practices with a partner. My job is to complete a mental health check-in form. You did that already. Orally celebrate a peer and share with the group. Reflect on personal self-care as an educator. I promise it won't be preachy. Discuss the best SEL practices for your grade level with your partner. You just did what Ms. Chinn does. Ms. Chinn was the other presenter scheduled for today. She does a daily check-in with her students, and they have a QR code all over their classroom, so the kids know as part of their essentially bell ringer that when they come in, they need to scan that with their iPad and they need to fill it out and just get settled for the day. Obviously, some of you are not one-to-one iPad all the time, so you can adapt this to be a quick check-in with a Post-it note. You can do some other quick check-ins that we're going to talk about. It doesn't always have to be a formal form. Okay? These are the questions that we, and I've used it before, that we usually use. How have you been doing today/this week? And that could be a loaded question, obviously, because some people, especially in the middle school level, from minute to minute, hour to hour, day to day, they are completely different. So this is a good way to kind of keep up with our kids, to make sure that they're not here or here, that they're kind of staying in the middle. That's where we like them, kind of in the middle. Obviously, we like them happy, but it's middle school, high school. Elementary, you probably get a little more of the happy. How do you feel about your total homework load right now? If you are an elementary teacher that keeps your kids all day long, this is an excellent way for you to check in with them to make sure you're not overloading them. Some kids right now are transitioning from last year to this year, and they're completely overwhelmed. And this is what is kind of normal this year, anyway, is that the homework level is what we would call a normal homework level, but compared to last year, it's probably not. And so the kids, I've found, are freaking out a little bit, and so this question has been very helpful. If you're middle school or high school, your kids can reflect on this, and you might ask it more specifically, how do you feel about your total homework load right now in my classroom? And then have another question about your other classes, because that does affect you. If you teach social studies and your kids are in 4 other classes, you might not know that 3 of you gave tests on Friday. You might not know that 4 of you have big projects going on right now. Kind of hope y'all do, but like even not all of our teams are teams. Kids go from different parts of the hallway to different parts of the hallway. So you might not generally know what other teachers are doing. This came up in one of my classes last week, and we'll go into that in a minute. How do you feel about the concepts we've been learning in Ms. Chinn's class so far? So that's just, are you figuring things out? And pretty straightforward question. So we get to this last question, and this is where you're going to get most of your information. Is there anything you want Ms. Chinn to know about you right now? Now, you're going to have kids that are not comfortable with answering that question. They might go, I don't trust you with that info. They might give you something very superficial. You could, if you know that they're not willing, have a backup question. If you don't want to answer this question, tell me what you're binge watching on Netflix right now. Tell me your favorite show. Tell me your favorite game. Try not to make it too superficial, like what's your favorite color? You know, and that might work a little bit with the younger kids, but with the older kids, you want to maybe delve a little deeper. Maybe they're into serial killer dramas, and then you need to worry a little bit. Although I really like serial killer dramas. I love specifically British serial killer dramas. If you're into they're wonderful. So maybe have this, but then up on your board say, here's your backup question. If you don't have anything to tell me right now, here's your backup question so that you do have something to tell me right now. Do's of the form. Give prompts for the short answer each day, and that's that extra prompt. So not just the general question, but also the extra one. Make a QR code to put around the room. As you saw, you didn't necessarily have to do the one out there. You could come in here and get settled a little bit and then do it. Do it daily to reinforce the habit. Email and connect with the students who have told you something personal. So if they have told you something that's either concerning or maybe it's really happy, shoot them a quick email. Hey, that's great to hear. Or, hey, do you need to chat with me in class? Talk to me later. Refer students to counselors if needed. This is one of the caveats of doing this form. You need to make sure that your students know that you are mandatory reporters. And so if they tell you anything that needs to be referred, that you have to. Otherwise, they may not trust you. Because if you run to a guidance counselor, social worker, or principal, and they know that because they get called in, then they're going to be like, I told you that in confidence, and you just went and told somebody. All of my kids know that I'm a mandatory reporter. And sometimes when they say they want to meet with me and have a conversation, I start the conversation with that. Honey, just remember that everything you tell me, I might have to tell someone. So just be aware of that. I hope you trust me enough to do the right thing with the information. Because obviously, if they tell us certain things, we have to tell somebody. And if you're not sure if you're supposed to tell somebody, tell somebody. But we go over here. Don't do these things with the form. And I'm going to start with this one. Don't go straight to calling home based off of the information. Don't go straight to a coworker with that information. That student has trusted you and may not have trusted your neighbor, okay? Or your work bestie or whatever. So just be careful with that information and make sure that you're reporting it to the correct people. So before you change or delete any questions, make sure you've read through all your responses. Megan has told her kids, hey, every day when I have planning at 12 o'clock, this is when I sit down and read your answers. She tells them that because if there is something that's time sensitive or if there's something that's overly concerning, like if the kid is saying, I feel like harming myself, they know that that might be something they tell her as opposed to putting in the form. So just make them aware that, hey, I don't have planning until 2 o'clock. I'm not going to get to it until then, so that they know timing and everything else. But also try to keep up with reading it. Make it part of your habit because you might learn some great things about your kids. Great things. This was part of Megan's thing, and so I'm going to kind of not go over this part. Except just always make sure you have one open-ended question. That's a big deal. Make sure you have an open-ended question. Here's my quick things that I like to do with people. So my kids have instruments. They have music stands, they have books, they have all sorts of other things. So it's sometimes really hard to have them pull out an iPad on top of all that stuff without dropping a saxophone. So what I do is I ask my kids, tell me whether you're here, here, or here. Now, they may not know at the beginning, what do these things mean? And so I tell them, you're alive and breathing and nothing is awful or wonderful. You're here. You're existing. Here, something good happened. Or I finished all my homework and I feel ahead of the game for once. Here, I feel like I'm underwater. For whatever reason, school-related, home-related, whatever, I'm here. Last week or two ago, with one of my classes, I went, or where are we? And they all went here. They went, what the heck? I've usually got a couple of you. And come to find out, one of their teachers had just moved back a date. That the project was due on Friday and then it got moved to Wednesday. And they were freaking out because it was a group project, and of course we all know about group projects. So come to find out, it wasn't, I mean, for us, it's not anything earth-shattering. They're not like in a bad mental place. But obviously they had just come from that class and it was all of them. And so they were there because that was on their brain. Band was not on their brain. So we talked about solutions, talked about talking to the teacher and just making sure that, because one of the kids did have her in a different class period and said, hey, we were really good in class and she gave us one more day. And I said, you guys, ding, 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 be good in class, maybe she'll give you one more day. Introduction of a fun fact. At the beginning of the semester, at the beginning of the year, depending on how you have your kids set up, I go, tell me 3 things about yourself. Tell me your name, because I'm horrible with names. Horrible. Horrific. And I teach 135 kids between 6th and 7th grade, because I have mine all 3 grade levels. I forget names. I hate it. Tell me your name. Tell me what kind of music you like to listen to. So we have a discussion about genre. So we've done an ELA thing. And we talk about artists, and we talk about all that stuff. And then tell me something weird or strange about yourself. And then I do it for them. And I'm going to show you my strange thing. I do tell the kids that your strange thing doesn't have to be big. You could curl your tongue, cross your eyes, wiggle your ears. Could be anything. My thing is this. And then, no offense to the male in the room, the boys all try to do it. And I've already told them, don't do that. And then I tell them that my mother can do it with both hands, and that's really impressive. I cannot. For some reason, my right thumb will not stay. But then they feel like, okay, well, she did it. I can do it. And I used to make them come up and do it. In COVID time, I don't. And I've actually found that they are more open with me if they get to sit at their own seat and do it. I don't make them stand up. Nothing. And they come up with some freaky things. And I always tell them about a kid I taught in New Hampshire who actually had webbed toes. Like, I mean, major, like, he should have been Michael Phelps, webbed toes. And of course, I asked the kid to take his shoe and sock off because I wanted to see that. And it was as freaky as you thought it would be. Mr. Lofton presented to the high school and the middle school, and I'm not sure if he did it at the high school, but he introduced this thing called, to me, which was kind of new, a 1-minute meeting. And here's what he asked us to do on an index card. How are you today? And we had to draw an emoji. So far this year, you could change this to this week, to the day, to the hour. What has been your biggest challenge? And then so far this year, again, it could be this week, today, what has been your biggest celebration? And then we had to share our first thing with someone who was wearing the same colored shirt as us. We had to share the second thing. I don't even remember what the 2 other things were, but we had to find 3, we were presenting to 3 different people. And we had 1 minute. So total, with getting back to your seat, it took about 5 minutes. Okay, this is and of course we're middle school teachers, so we were all chatting too much, and that's what we do. But I really liked it. I really also liked the idea of the emoji because the kids know emojis. They can draw, and they'll give you the really cool ones that us old people don't know as well. Okay. Scale of 1 to 10 conversation. This was a Miss Chinn thing. If you don't have an iPad, you could have them go on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being really stressed. How stressed do you feel today? And the kids can go like this, or they can go this, or they can, well, 1, but you can go this. Scale of 1 to 10, being exhausted. How tired do you feel today? Woo, buddy. How are your sports, kids on stage, dance activities going? You could do here, here, here. Any good news to share with the class? This could all be done on one of these. Okay? So if they just want to share one piece of information with you, you could do that, put them up on the board, and you could read them periodically throughout the day. Okay? Doesn't have to be anything crazy. But our kids' SEL is very important right now. because they are all sorts of messed up. They are. I mean, middle school can tell you 6th grade right now, it's kind of like teaching 5-year-olds, and I didn't sign up for that. But every day I end my day with, holy moly. And we're trying to kind of get them back into being a school child and being in school on a regular basis. And holy moly, Anna, what are we doing? Okay. And so we're trying to get them to grow up a tiny bit, and that's been a little difficult. So we're all feeling that struggle, but just if you look at each grade level, you'll notice that you probably noticed they're off. They're way off. And that's all about the SEL. Are we taking care of their, not just their academic growth, but are we taking care of how they're growing emotionally? Because I right now feel like my 6th graders have the emotional level of a 5-year-old. They are acting like I have a 7-year-old, and they are acting like her. And it's been difficult because I, on purpose, chose not to be an elementary teacher. I could deal with one, but having a whole class full, holy moly. Let's do a giveaway. Let's do a giveaway. So I have 2 books to give away. The first person that wins gets to choose the book. The second person wins the other book. Okay? And so I have a randomizer. Oh, Becky, I just realized that you 2 are not in here, and I'm sorry. I'll put you in for the second. Faith!
Wow.
You won! So, I love children's books for older kids, especially. I mean, obviously they work for children, but it is amazing to me how much kids who are middle school and high school love children's books. So we have the Book of Mistakes. I know, this was a hard choice in the last session.
Can I read it first?
No. The illustration in this one is phenomenal. So,
Well, being that I'm 6th grade, mistakes.
okay.
I'm not mistaken.
In fact, Ms. Ham and I were just talking about the Lorax and how she uses the Lorax to teach some of the environmental issues that...
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then we're going to go back to this. Celebrated classmate. So, I would like for you to pick someone. Hopefully someone you know, and if it's more than one person, so if you know more than one person and you want to get up and talk to each other, I'm fine with that. We're going to take a few minutes and we're going to do a celebrated classmate activity. We're going to do it a little differently than the picture I'm about to show you, but this is kind of the idea. Oops, just kidding. This is Joshua. Joshua is one of Megan's kids. And so for the first few weeks of school, after they were there, I think for a few days, she started doing this activity. So she would put Joshua's name up on the board, and then everybody, including Joshua, got to get a whiteboard marker and go up there and put up a couple of words of happiness about Joshua. What she found was even the kids who didn't know Joshua well, or maybe weren't friends with Joshua, would still put stuff up there because 1, they wanted to write on the whiteboard, and 2, I know it's dumb little things like that, but by God, they love it. It's a huge no-no in my classroom, so the kids are always amazed when I let them write on the whiteboard. And then some of them just wanted to be the most creative. They wanted to have the best compliment up there. So we're going to do a similar activity, but we're going to do it with your Post-it notes. So if you can, even if it means you have to get up and move, which would probably be preferable right now, just so because your butts start hurting in these chairs, to get up and find somebody, and y'all celebrate each other. Write down just a few 1-word or 2-word little phrases about that person and celebrate them. Find someone, please, even if you don't know them.
Just one word?
Huh?
Just one word?
1 or 2 words, but do like, and then maybe go to somebody else you know, like, and I know that not everybody knows multiple people in here, but you can go to other people. We're just not doing it on the board because this isn't my classroom.
So you just give it to them?
Walk around, yes. So that person is going to hold on to their own Post-it note, and y'all are my guinea pigs on this because you've never done it with Post-it notes before. So go to someone that you know and have them write on your Post-it note. Yes. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't explain that well.
Okay.
So take your Post-it note to someone.
Okay.
We just need some.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Where's yours?
I was writing it and you.
Oh, you can do that too, as long as that person has their Post-it note.
I want to put your name on the top.
Yes, you can either write a name and then put their Post-it, or you can hold on to your own and people can write about you as you walk around. Oh, let me give you some Post-it notes. I'm sorry. I do have some more. Here you go. Do you need a pen? Okay. And you know what? Do one. Oh, I got one too. You can walk around to anybody you know and you could give them a Post-it note or you can write on theirs. I know I wasn't clear about that. I apologize. You can also give yourself compliments. What do you think your best attribute is? Because I don't think we're nice enough to ourselves, quite honestly. Aw, thank you. Oh, yeah. How do you know?
Okay, gonna make it.
How do you know someone?
Richard had an amputation. So
That's so
he's not
funny.
been progressing like I
Yeah.
thought. So Mike Wilson's a friend.
Okay.
And so I said, Mike,
Oh, thank you.
look at him. Something's wrong. So when he had it done, the hospital sent him to, and I don't remember the name of the company, but not Shane's company.
Okay.
And he had been going, and they go, oh, it looks fine. Oh, it looks fine. Something's not right, Richard.
Yeah.
So Mike talked to Shane, and Shane said, well, meet me at 6:30 in the morning. So they did.
Yeah.
Like 2 weeks ago. Shane realigned it.
So Shane's not my husband.
He's not, they can keep it.
Sean is my
Sean,
husband.
but he works there?
He works at Hanger.
Okay, yes.
So, okay. So Shane is at AOP. So there is a Shane and then there's a Sean.
Okay. Might be Sean then.
Okay.
I don't know. It's somebody that.
Regardless, he's being coached
Right.
though, right?
Right. Oh, whoever. I don't know who he was with and who he went with. It was an S word.
Okay.
So maybe
Good.
that's it.
Is he also an amputee, the person he's seeing?
I don't know.
Okay.
All I
If he
know
is,
is
that's
that-
Shane. If he's not, then it's Sean.
Okay. All I know is they realigned.
Well, good. I'm
So,
glad he's getting
but-
helped. I didn't realize he was an amputee.
Yeah, fairly recent. Okay. Like a year.
Is he a
ago.
BK or an AK?
Maloney.
Oh, thank
Above me.
Okay.
But he,
And that always makes it more difficult. Yeah, it just does.
but it was nice to just get realigned.
Oh, good.
But, okay, so yours is Sean.
And then there is a Shane. There is a
Is
Shane.
there another one? I don't know.
My husband is with Hanger.
Okay.
Of course. Okay, so if we can be back in our seats in 10 seconds, please. So finish what you're doing. Now, I understand that this might have been difficult because if you didn't know somebody in here, obviously that would make it a little more difficult. But hopefully you got some nice little affirmations for the day, a nice little lift. If not, think about just something nice about yourself. I said it a few minutes ago, sometimes we are our worst enemies. Sometimes we think, somebody gives you 5 compliments, one gives you not a compliment, we believe the other one. We don't believe any of these. We only believe this. And that's unfortunate. And sometimes it's like that one kid in class that's really trying every bit of your patience, and you forget that you've done such a great job with these other 20, 35 kids. You know, sometimes you forget that. I have a class at the end of the day that make me want to drive my car off a cliff. It is 6th grade percussion. All of these children decided to hit things. And I emailed them because they were going to have the opportunity to get out of my class. Because we had a new CTE class added, and I told them, I'm the one who does the Encore scheduling. I can get you out. If you don't want to be here, you're probably one of the problems, right? So I emailed out to all of them. I emailed to myself and then blind copied all the kids because they love reply all. And I said, please tell me whether you would like to stay in band or not if there were no behavior issues. You know, I was shocked, honest to God, shocked at how happy everybody was in class. I was even more shocked with how happy they were with me. Because quite honestly, I feel like a terrible person in that class. I say things I don't think I've ever said. I've been teaching for 22 years, people. I mean, I look at these kids and I go, oh my gosh, what in the world? Like, you have no social training whatsoever. And then I also think I'm alone, but I think I'm not anymore because most of the teachers in the building are saying the same things. But I was shocked at how happy. One kid was like, band is my life. You've been in here for like 2 months. Really? You love it? You haven't said 5 words. You're one of the great kids. But yes, she was like, that. It's awesome. So we did the Celebrate a Classmate activity and we talked about it. You could also do this as an anonymous box where kids can tell you something good about themselves. Hey, I just got the lead in the new Kids on Stage thing. I had this kid, Trey, and he scored his first touchdown. I think it was like the 3rd or 4th game. And he came in and could not sit in his chair. And I was like, Trey, honey, what's going on? Ms. McGowan, I scored a touchdown. I'm so happy. It happened yesterday, and I'm still like this. You know? He couldn't wait to tell us that, but that could have been something that I said, I maybe keep some Post-it notes or a little index card or something next to a box. He could have put that in there and said, and maybe that would have brought him down a little bit, you know, just to go, I got it out of my system to tell somebody. But then the whole class cheered for him. And he just beamed for the rest of class. So even if the rest of his day was awful, he had that one moment, you know? And it's nice to have that one moment. Make it optional whether to read it in front of the class or not read it in front of the class. Maybe have a little checkbox that says, you can read this, it's for you only. Because some of your kids trust you, but they don't trust the other kids in their class. Okay? Connect the behavior by reporting to home or school, or maybe this is something where you could go, hey, to your other teammates, this kid did this great thing, you should say something to them. Or call home. I've had parents genuinely shocked that I was calling about good things and not anything bad. And I was really calling because I know all that parent gets are, your kid won't be quiet, your kid won't stop talking, your kid won't sit down, blah, 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 blah. So I called them and I'm like, hey, your kid did this great thing in class today. And they're shocked, speechless, happy. So sometimes the SEL is for the parents too, because as the parent of a very crazy 7-year-old, sometimes I need that affirmation that that kid's not doing crazy things in class. Getting to know you forms. So these you can do. I know some of you have your kids year-round. I do. Some of you only have your kids for a semester. Some of you maybe even have your kids for a quarter and you're switching with people or whatever. You could do a whole form with lots of questions. And you can do this as a brain break activity. Maybe just do a few questions. You know, what's your favorite song today? What's your What is your favorite activity outside of school? What's your favorite activity inside of school? You should use this to help the kids have more fun in your class. And I'll show you how in just a minute. This is an example of a form that Megan uses in her class. This has become a big deal. What's your name? And do you go by a different name? And I always tell the kids, I might be looking for your nickname, but I'm not looking for something like completely away from your name. Like one kid that I have in 6th grade likes to be called Junior. I didn't actually believe he was a junior because it's not in, I know you teach that kid too, it's not in Power School that he's a junior. Come to find out from the principal, he is in fact a junior. And so all the kids were like, his name's not Junior. It actually is, and that's what his dad calls him. This is important. On my rosters that I leave for substitutes, I put the name that they want to be called. I also, if they have a difficult name, I will put the phonetic spelling of their name so that even the substitute knows how to pronounce their name. And I said it earlier, I cannot stand for people to mispronounce my name, other people's names. It bothers me. So I make sure that that's something that not only I do, but my substitutes do. Okay? We started at 2. Okay, we got time. But like I said, this form actually has 11 questions. You don't have to do them all the time. You could just say, hey, pick your 3 favorite questions and answer those. And then you'll get all sorts of different answers depending on the people. Using the answers in class. So the Encore teachers here actually rotate through the EC self-contained classroom, and we go in for 2 weeks at a time and we teach, they get an Encore class. So I went through the first rotation and I went in, and on the first day I went, hey, what's your favorite song? Didn't know what I was expecting, but this kid, Spencer. Spencer is a special child. Spencer apparently has some anger issues. I've never seen them. Spencer is very vocal, but he's also hard to understand. So that's sometimes an issue. And he very clearly said, Tennessee Whiskey. That's my favorite song. That's his favorite song. And so I said, you know what? I don't know that song. Let's listen to it. You always have to be careful with that, though. I was semi-familiar, and one of the teachers in there was like, it's okay. It doesn't have really bad words and that kind of stuff. So I played it. He belted out that song like he was Adele on the Grammys and knew every single word, and it totally, again, made his day that he got to do that. One of the other kids chose the Macarena, so we got up and did the Macarena. And I have always been a proponent of totally making a fool of myself in front of my students, as you've seen. I will do anything to make sure that they learn. I tell embarrassing stories about myself, about my children, because that's funny. Whatever makes them remember things and relate to something else, because we also know that when they relate to something else, they tend to remember it better. But man, that day. So on a Friday, when the kids are walking in, you could play one of their favorite songs. Obviously find the appropriate version. That's an issue right now. But and be also wary that just because it's an appropriate version of the song, it might not be an appropriate song. So it could have no cuss words in it whatsoever and still be completely horrible. So be careful with that activity, but you're going to make some kid's day because they walked in and they heard their song playing. It gives you an opportunity to do different genres and whatnot. But you can do this with all sorts of stuff. It doesn't just have to be music, but there's some other things listed in there. Maybe a kid loves a certain candy. And one day you just give out Jolly Ranchers to the whole class, blue ones, because kids love the blue ones. And you probably made half the kids' days just by doing that. SEL resources based, we're not going to go over a lot of this because you should be doing this at your school. You have in front of you the NCDPI map that includes subjects, grade levels, et cetera, that is for you to take when we're done. But we had a session with arts teachers, and this was it was very good. It had a lot of good resources for it. So if you do go through the presentation once we're done, all of these are hyperlinked, so you can go directly to all these things that I'm scrolling through quickly. So let's talk about self-care. I hate, I'm going to use the word hate, being told to take care of myself. It's not like anybody's not trying to take care of themselves. We all try to. I am not going to say, hey, you should be doing this, 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 and this, because what works for me is not going to work for you. My self-care is different from your self-care. I love to cook. I cook 5 nights a week. Last night I did not. Last night there was definitely some Uber Eats going on. But most nights or afternoons, I come home, I start cooking, the kids go do their thing, and they leave me alone, and it's a time for me to just recenter myself. So I'm going to talk about things that might help, but not things that are going to definitely work for you. Every night after my very crazy 7-year-old goes to bed, I go into the kitchen and I set up for the next day. So she likes to have a sun butter and jelly sandwich every day. I go on and have her lunchbox ready, all the stuff, even down to the knife, the bread, everything is set out so that the next morning when I wake up, I just go in there and make it and put it in the thing and put it in the fridge. I have all my coffee stuff set out. The coffee cup, the 3 Splenda, the Keurig cup, the spoon. It's all on the counter. My older kids' meds with her water cup are on the counter. When my husband was doing the same breakfast every morning, I had like his bowl, spoon, and whatever else out on the counter. My husband thought I was nuts. But it made it easier for me. I was literally just walking into the assembly line and I just had to put it all together. He did not understand this until I was gone for 3 days. And he went, I did it. And it works. And I went, shocker. I do not necessarily go so far as to pick out my outfit for the day before, but I always look at the weather the night before because I'll forget to do it at 5:30 in the morning. And I have car rider duty every day. So I have to know which shoes to wear, if I need to bring my flip-flops with me because it's raining, whatever. But little things like that have helped me. I plan my 10 meals out for 2 weeks at a time. So I have a little app. I make a list of 10 meals, and then underneath it, it's my grocery list. I order my groceries online, and they're ready. And then I prep on Sunday. So if I've got 4 meals that have ground beef, I cook up all the ground beef at the same time. And then if there's tacos, I'll go on and put it in a Tupperware, mix it with taco stuff. I have found that things like this make my life a little easier because then I come home from school, the taco meat's done. All I got to do is pop it in the microwave. It's already cooked. So that 30-minute meal might take you 15 minutes. And so little things like that help me. Whether they help you or not, I don't know. Also, I do have a recipe list if anybody would like it. I shared it. Oh, yeah, you have it. I did share it with some teachers last year. It's easy 30-minute or less or crock-pot meals if you ever want that. Do whatever makes you happy. You know what makes me happy? A kid emails me and I email them right back. Some of you don't even put the app on your phone, and that makes you happy. You leave at whatever time and school is over. But I would rather just get my emails or my texts taken care of, and then when I get to school in the morning, I don't have to worry about it. You do you. And I hate that phrase, but it's totally true. There's a band director group that I'm in, and they're always like, you need to turn off work as soon as you leave. Because band directors are notoriously competitive about who's working the most. And that's stupid. It is. It's stupid. I don't do it. I don't have time for that. I have children. I've got round 2 when I go to pick up the kids from school. I feel like I'm a prize fighter, and I get to the school and ding, round 2. I go from one full-time job to my other full-time job. Some of you are literally going from full-time jobs to part-time jobs, and I don't know how y'all are doing all that. So self-care is what it is for you, and you're the only one who can determine that. But I have to say, I really do not enjoy the phrase self-care. I just don't.
All right.
Hold on, I have one more giveaway.
Session number 2.
Hold on.
Before we transition, let's give away quite a...
Oh, he's early. Okay, hold on.
7 different numbers this time. 7 numbers. Make sure you have your coupon ready. You report to the front.
Oh, so stay in here for just a minute because you can't hear it in the hallway.
6,
Oh, she's not here.
7, 7, 0, 0. Next, 6, 9, 7,
Dang it, she won again. She's not even here.
9, 6, 9, 7, 6, 5, 8.
Wow.
6, 9,
You're welcome.
1, 3, 6, 9, 7, 7, 2, 2, 6, 9, 7, 6, 7, 6. And the last number is JEJ
Can you stop it?
9148.
Can you hit stop on it?
Oh, and there's one more winner.